Why do we care so much what other people think? It's one of the most frustrating things about being human. You can know something logically and still feel completely different emotionally. You can know that a stranger's opinion doesn't matter. You can know that people are too busy thinking about themselves to analyze your every move. You can know that you shouldn't care what everyone thinks. And yet, somehow, you still do. You hesitate before posting something online. You replay conversations in your head. You wonder if you sounded awkward. You worry about being judged. You compare yourself to people you've never even met. And if someone criticizes you even slightly, it can stick with you for days. So why? Why do we care so much what other people think? The answer begins with a simple fact about human beings. For most of human history, survival depended on belonging. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by your group wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. Humans survived because we lived in tribes. We hunted together, protected each other, shared resources, raised children together. Being accepted increased your chances of survival. Being excluded could be life threatening. And while the modern world has changed dramatically, your brain hasn't changed nearly as much. Deep inside, your brain still treats social rejection as something important, something worth paying attention to, something worth avoiding. That's why criticism often feels bigger than it really is. That's why embarrassment can feel physically painful. That's why a negative comment can outweigh 10 positive ones. Your brain isn't being irrational, it's doing exactly what it evolved to do: protect your place within the group. But here's where things become complicated. The world your brain evolved for no longer exists. Our ancestors lived in tribes of maybe 100 people. Today, we can compare ourselves to millions. At any moment, we can see people who seem richer, smarter, happier, more attractive, more successful, more confident, more talented. Social media didn't create comparison, it amplified it, and it amplified it to a level the human brain was never designed to handle. For the first time in history, people can compare their entire lives to the highlight reels of strangers, every day, all day, without stopping. And the result is predictable. No matter what you achieve, someone appears to be doing better. No matter how attractive you are, someone appears more attractive. No matter how successful you become, someone appears more successful. The finish line keeps moving, because comparison has no natural ending. But there is another reason we care so much about what others think, and it's surprisingly simple. Most people want certainty. We want reassurance. We want evidence that we're doing okay, that we're making the right decisions, that we're good enough, that we're valuable. The problem is that when we don't develop that confidence internally, we start searching for it externally. We begin using other people's opinions as a mirror. Their approval becomes our evidence. Their praise becomes our confidence. Their validation becomes our self-worth. And that's where things get dangerous. Because the moment your self-worth depends on other people, your emotional state becomes something you no longer fully control. You start managing impressions instead of living authentically. You say what feels safe. You hide parts of yourself. You become more focused on being accepted than being honest. And slowly, without realizing it, you start building a version of yourself designed to avoid rejection. The strange thing is that this strategy rarely works, because no matter how hard you try, you can never control what everyone thinks. It's impossible. Two people can look at the exact same person and come to completely different conclusions. One person sees confidence, another sees arrogance, one sees ambition, another sees selfishness, one sees authenticity, another sees weirdness. The same behavior can generate completely different reactions depending on who's observing, which means something important. Other people's opinions often tell you more about them than they tell you about yourself. Their experiences, their beliefs, their fears, their expectations, their values. Yet many of us spend years treating every opinion as objective truth, as if every judgment is a fact, as if every criticism reveals something fundamentally wrong with us, but it doesn't. And perhaps the biggest irony of all is this: the people you're worried about impressing are usually worrying about what other people think too. The person who seems confident, the person who seems successful, the person who seems popular, they're often fighting the exact same battle because insecurity is far more common than it appears. Most people are simply better at hiding it. There's also something psychologists call the spotlight effect. It's a fascinating phenomenon. We tend to believe people notice us far more than they actually do. We assume everyone is paying attention, watching, judging, analyzing, remembering our mistakes. In reality, most people are focused on themselves. They're thinking about their own problems, their own insecurities, their own worries, just like you. The embarrassing thing you said 3 years ago, you probably remember it. Everyone else forgot. The awkward moment that still keeps you awake at night. You're likely one of the only people who still thinks about it, because everybody else is busy thinking about their own lives. And that realization can be incredibly freeing, not because other people's opinions never matter. They do. Feedback matters. Relationships matter. Community matters. But there's a difference between listening to opinions and living for them. One helps you grow, the other keeps you trapped. The goal isn't to stop caring completely. That's not realistic. The goal is to care selectively, to care more about the opinions of people who genuinely know you, people who want the best for you, people who have earned the right to influence your thinking, and to care less about the random judgments of strangers who know almost nothing about your life. Because at the end of the day, someone will always misunderstand you. Someone will always disagree with you. Someone will always think you're making the wrong choice. And that's okay. You don't need universal approval to live a meaningful life. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need everyone to like you. You only need enough courage to be yourself despite the uncertainty. Because the moment you stop trying to manage every opinion, something remarkable happens. You gain energy, freedom, clarity, and perhaps for the first time you begin living your life instead of performing it. And that's when other people's opinions finally start losing their power, not because they disappeared, but because you discovered something more important: your own voice.